Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I want to give my quick review of the Super Mario Galaxy movie. I watched it last week, thought about it, formed some opinions about it, and I have come to the conclusion that this movie, to me, is painfully mediocre. It's very mid, and I was pretty disappointed. My expectations were already pretty low for this film, but I gotta admit, I was sad. I had been waiting on this film for so long, and Galaxy, when it was announced, was one of my favorite games. And I do still enjoy playing it to this day, and I was excited to see how they were going to adapt such a emotional story into a full feature-length film. And I know they weren't going to do it beat for beat. I knew that it was going to be an abridged version, but it turns out it wasn't even that. I have a lot of negatives to go over, so let's go over some of the positives. What I've seen a lot of other people stating as well is that the animation here is very beautiful, in terms of like its visual effects. The environments, the planets, the atmosphere, I think they all look stunning, honestly. Something I do like, a part of Illumination's art style that I do like, is that they are really good at creating very nice, very pretty environments. However, I do not like Illumination animation. They're probably my least favorite animation studio, and they're also my least favorite art style. Especially when it comes to like the human characters, which is not a problem much in this film. Mario and Luigi are human, but they are obviously animated very differently from all the other cast. And all the other cast, the rest of them are not human. I just have a problem when it comes to like Rosalina and Peach. They just look kind of off to me. But other than that, I think the animation was pretty solid. Another upgrade I saw from the film is that the lack of licensed music. There is licensed music, I should state that, but only in like the first 20 minutes of the film. Like after that, they kind of just go with more like rearrangements of Mario music, and I did really like that. I did really like hearing those songs, though I do think they went a little overboard on Gusty Garden Galaxy a lot. I feel like that was the only song I heard like rearranged and like reorchestrated, and it's a good song, but like what about stuff like Sky Station Galaxy? What about stuff like Space Junk Road? I mean, Galaxy has a lot of other great music, and maybe it wasn't there. Maybe I just forgot and maybe just didn't hear it. But I do gotta admit, the music, they could have done more, I feel like. There was also like Super Mario World music about in there, and with Yoshi being in there, it makes sense why they would emphasize that more. And Super Mario World music is fantastic, and I think they definitely upped their game when it came to the musical component of this film. And one last major point is that the action sequences were really good. I gotta admit, they were great action sequences. They were very well choreographed. I thought they were pretty good. I really liked the first initial Bowser Jr. fight with against Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi, and then the final fight. Oh man, I won't spoil it. This is gonna be a spoiler-free review, but I gotta admit, I was really shocked. I was really surprised by like the power-ups they used and the elements used in that fight, and it was really satisfying to watch. I gotta admit, I was satisfied, but of course that couldn't save the film for me. And now I kind of want to go over what I thought were some of the biggest blunders with this film. So what I think might be the biggest issue with this film is just how bloated it is. Now, I didn't like how the first movie was under a 90-minute runtime, because the more Mario I can get, the better, and it does suck that we were so kind of limited. I'm not trying to sound ungrateful or anything. I'm glad we got a Mario movie, but honestly, I just wish we had more. And this film is longer by like 10 minutes, but honestly, how much of that is actually used for something good, used for something actually worthy of like progressing the story? Because like there's just so much like fluff in here that like I just thought just wasn't needed. One scene that comes to mind that takes up about 5 minutes of the runtime is this scene where, you know, they're the babies, and you've seen it in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling anything, but that scene goes on like longer than it needs to be, and it really just doesn't really amount to anything, honestly. It's just, it acts as a callback to Yoshi's Island and like nothing more. And there's a lot of just useless dialogue and just useless jokes, and like I'm sitting there in the theater, I'm just thinking, this movie's already not that long, and you're wasting so much time on this scene that doesn't really matter. And I was just kind of like, just hurry up. Like, I just wanted scenes to be over, and that's never good for a movie, by the way. It's like, you never just want a scene just to get over with, because it just feels painstakingly long to sit through sometimes. Aside from the fact that there's poor dialogue choices, I just feel like there were just unnecessary additions to this movie. Most notably, I will say, Star Fox, while cool to see, and I know is probably going to be used as like a jumping off point for something Nintendo's probably planning with the franchise, he is useless, pretty much. It's like, he is so useless. It's like, this film just could exist without him, you know? And it's like, I was confused because I thought, what purpose is he going to serve to the plot? You know, like, what is he possibly going to bring? And there's not a lot. You know, it's like, I know he's positioned as it, but it was kind of a letdown overall. I will say though, the whole Mario Bros 2 callback, a little weird. I'm still kind of mixed on it. Like, on one hand, yeah, it's cool that like they are included. They're very niche and not very well-known characters. I mean, besides Birdo. But, they were just kind of there. Their performances were good. Well, Wart's performance was good. I forgot the name of the actor who plays him, but I do know him. I've seen him and stuff. He's a pretty good actor, and I thought he played him well for what he was. The casino scene was, again, very well animated, but overall, that whole scene just feels like fluff. And now, I mentioned earlier that scenes kind of drag on for too long, and I think they feel that way because of just how very poorly written this film is. And now, before you go talking to me that like, oh, it's a kid's film, you know, it doesn't need to be perfect. Well, I have kind of a counter argument to that. Just because something is a children's film doesn't mean it doesn't get to have good writing or good jokes. I mean, I grew up on movies that were very well written, that had very well thought out jokes. I mean, if something's funny, you're just going to laugh, you know? And like, I didn't really find myself laughing a whole lot because, well, I am an adult, obviously, so some jokes just aren't going to hit. But like, I'm just kind of listening to this movie and like, I am just predicting time and time again what these characters are going to say. You know, it's like they use just such cliche lines and wording, and it just kind of flows unnaturally. Like, I'm just watching a very amateur theater play, is what I'll say about it. It's like, it's just not good dialogue between the characters, honestly. It just isn't great. And, I mean, I do think everyone gives a good performance. Like, Chris Pratt's Mario has grown on me. I didn't like him initially, but I think he's pretty good at, like, what he does. Everyone else gives a solid performance. I love Jack Black as Bowser, as him. I think he fits the role very well. And I just think this film just could have used a lot more time in the writing room, a lot more rewrites, just to make it an overall more enjoyable film. Again, just because something is a children's film, that doesn't mean I'm not asking for Shakespearean writing here. I'm just asking for something that, you know, feels like there was thought put into it. That's the thing. It's like, this movie just doesn't feel like there was a whole lot of thought behind what the characters are saying or what they are doing in this film. This story, I'm not going to say I think it was written by AI because, like, it's not that bad. It just feels very amateurish, and I'm very disappointed and shocked that, like, Nintendo even, like, kind of allowed that, or they even went, like, along with that. And it's because of like how Nintendo actually allowed the film to come out this way. It really made this movie feel just like product placement, I guess. It's like, it's not just about callbacks or just niche references to other titles. It's just, this just doesn't feel like what the first movie was. And like, that movie, I feel like shoved it down our throat more, but I feel like they did so in a more natural way. Maybe. This just feels so unnatural. This just doesn't feel right. And like, overall, I think this film just didn't do a good job at like capturing that magic because of just how bland it is, how bland it feels. I will say it's a fine film. You know, it's a fine film for what it is, and you know, it's going to make a bunch of money. And what I fear is that they're going to again misread the success of this, and they're just going to keep pumping these out in the condition that this movie was in, if not a worse state. I will say, overall, as my final thoughts, this is definitely a movie you should go watch, especially if you have, you know, younger children. They're definitely going to like this type of movie, but maybe don't go in with the highest expectations. Treat it as any type of Illumination movie that you would go watch. And, you know, it's worth one watch, I would say. But other than that, if you're really not interested in watching this movie, it really ain't worth your time if you're not interested. Just wait for it to come out on streaming, and, you know, you can watch it, review it, do whatever you'd like with it. My hope is that, you know, whatever Mario movie comes next, that Nintendo just learns from their mistakes. They actually listen to fan and critic feedback, and they just, you know, hopefully whatever film they make next, I'm hoping they improve upon. So if I were to give this movie a score out of 10, I'd probably give it a 5, just right down the middle. Not too terrible, not the greatest thing in the world, unfortunately. It's not going to light the world on fire. And yeah, I look forward to the next one. I'm going to be excited for the next one, and then my hopes are just going to be crushed when I go see it in the theater, most likely. Oh, now I think I'm going to go ahead and go play Super Mario Galaxy, maybe, and maybe just try to pretend this film didn't happen. But yes, again, thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you have a blessed day, and hey, go watch a good movie. Not this, not Mario Galaxy. There's a lot of good movies out there. Go watch one. Have a great day.